15 degrees, you can see your breath. Out here in the lake of fact, breaking tables like it's poetry. Where else would you rather be? Pinto on Elvis in the lay poncho. The members that you need to know. 'Cause once you out here now, your family. Where else would you rather be? Where else would you rather be?
Welcome into the Nickel City Crew. I am your host, Rob Crippen. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Nickel City Crew. This episode, along with all of our episodes, are presented by Crippen Legacy Entertainment here on Spreaker and StreamYard. We're so glad that you're joining us for some of your Buffalo Bills and NFL content again today. And as always, these are my Bills thoughts said out loud.
It's a vibe so ridiculous. Since 12 plus 83 was 6. The shout rocking like a symphony. Where else would you rather be?
All right, let's get straight to it. Really excited for tonight's episode. We missed you, Nickel City Crew, these last couple of weeks. Some technical difficulties on my part, so I apologize, but I really missed you guys. And I was talking to my co-host pre-show, and I was like, you know what? We kind of just jumped back in at the perfect time because little did we know after last Saturday that all of Bill's Mafia hell would break loose. So let's just discuss it all. Let's go in chronological order and let's put a bow on this thing before we hire a new head coach. Joining me tonight, as always, my co-host, Riding Shotgun, Adam Dump Truck Rupsick. Check him out on Instagram and Twitter at Adam Rupsick, RUPCZYK. Holla at the crew, DT. Welcome back. Click clack, we back. Goodness gracious, man. Good to see you.
Click back, we back. Nickel City, how we doing? Happy Friday. First postseason Friday for the Mafia and us here at Nickel City Crew. And wow, what a week we had. What a week we had. They say, when hell freezes over, and it seems like hell the past week, but it's also about 5 degrees out. So hell might have froze over here in Buffalo because it's serious with this temperature. But at the same time, a brutal couple days for the Mafia. And yeah, there's nothing left to it but to unpack. So this is truly going to be a therapy session, Rob. Put the money at the door, sit in the funny chair. We got a lot of shit to get through.
We sure do, man. We sure do. But, it's funny because, every season when it ends, there's always that disappointment when you don't reach the ultimate goal. And obviously we didn't again this year. But there's a lot to talk about in respects to it from everything from last Saturday on. So let's just go at it in chronological order since we missed Nickel City Crew. We missed you guys these last couple of weeks. DT, Saturday, the season comes to an end in dramatic fashion, 33-10 in overtime. And I wanted to get your thoughts on it because I've got some very pointed thoughts about it. And I've been doing my sparring sessions on Twitter for sure since last Saturday. I wanted to get yours first because I don't want to put words in your mouth or anything like that. But what were your takeaways from that game? Because boy, that was a tough pill to swallow for a multitude of reasons. And I know that we'll get into them tonight.
Well, I think the bullet point reactions from that game were heartbreaking, familiar.
Yeah.
17 finally got his.
Yeah. Okay. What do you mean by that? You mean like chickens coming home?
And the fact of we haven't, in all these heartbreaking fashions, all these losses through the years, everything we've gone through, you really can't pin it down on 1-7. I think Saturday there was a lot of things, but when you are the face of a franchise and play like that, you take the blame, and he does take the blame. It's nobody's questioning that by any means, but this was his first one out of this cycle of heartbreaking defeats that we can point to him on.
Yeah, I mean it's solely on him in respects to the offensive performance for sure, and I definitely echo that. One of the things that I was arguing with the most with Bills Mafia members this week was that a lot of people were lamenting that catch no catch and that kind of thing, and talking about the Bills got screwed, and I think I know that it is a defense mechanism, DT. It helps you cope, it helps you make you feel better. I know that I was on the space with Sheed the day after the game. So this is before the news came down about the head coach. And I was explaining that like it's a coping mechanism. It makes you feel better to be able to point to something that was out of your control, so to speak. Well, the refs screwed us and the refs have it out for us and this and that. I just don't buy that type of stuff. I'm never going to be in a situation where I blame the refs. It's going to be very, very rare for me because of the fact that there's rarely a chance where an opportunity where there's just literally one call or two calls that were made that went against you and that decided the entire game. Most of the time, there's a sequence of events of different things that you could control beforehand. And I think that the fact that 17 turned the ball over 4 times, 5 times on the offense with that Jimbo fumble in the first quarter, I think that there's really nowhere to hide on this one, DT. For me, blaming the refs is just kind of lame to me. It's kind of corny. I've said it all week long when I'm sparring with some of those Mafia members who wanted to kind of use that as a crutch. DT, you are not supposed to win any games if you turn the ball over 5 times. Now, you might beat a team that's really shitty like the Jets or something like that, and you might get lucky. 5 turnovers in a game, you're supposed to lose that game almost every time.
Yeah, but you're also not supposed to take them to overtime and, and be in the game and really have the lead late and have a chance to win, and all those things that the Bills still did. You're not supposed to do those things either, right? So
that's what makes it maddening. Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course, those things shouldn't have happened, but they did, and then we were still in it with a chance to win it with the lead at the end. I mean, yes, it's tough to blame, and it is a crutch because what are you going to do? Like, even if they come out and say the call's wrong, it's Friday and we're not playing this week. It don't matter, if the call's right or wrong, but it is, I think, okay to say that was bullshit, like come on, like out of all these things of, especially the catch and it happening, twice the next day and, being called on the other end and everything like that is just like, how do you keep up with that? And that feeling of Buffalo always getting screwed is somewhat true in that of like, it never just happens with us, right? The only time I can ever remember it happening with us was 2 years ago, the Chiefs regular season game when they called the offensive offsides and Mahomes was crying it, during the handshake line. Like, I can't remember any other time that we got a questionable call and it went our way and helped decide the game. It's always against us. So I think that's why it's to go there and be and feel like that because it happens to us all too often. And, whether the catch was or the phantom PI calls, and they might have been PIs or whatever, call them at that point in the game. They didn't call the Cooks one, right. Yada, yada, yada. All that is true and BS, and the officiating crew should be reprimanded for this. And, I'm so sick of this Gene Steratore in the booth and all these people that are on the analyst because what does it matter what they say? They're not the refs of the game. So I don't want to hear your freaking opinion about it. It doesn't matter me what you're telling me to explain the rule because it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter what you say. So I think, yes, I agree. You can't use it as a crutch, but I also stand with Mafia that it was BS, man. And it does happen to us way too often. And it never is them deciding a game to help us. It's always the game getting decided against us. And so I feel that, but agree, you can't put Saturday's loss on the refs. It is BS, and I don't agree with any of those calls, but you can't put the loss on it, with the reality of turning the ball over 5 times.
Yeah, I think that the juxtaposition of the fact that we were still in the game is one of the most maddening things about it, DT, is the fact that you have this all-world quarterback who simultaneously puts you, takes you out of the game, and then he keeps you in the game all at the same time. And I think that that's one of the juxtapositions that makes and drives us crazy because we don't really know as a fan base how to deal with that because it's really hard to grasp that. Like, this dude keeps fucking up. The fumble before the half was huge. Like, that's a huge swing in the game, and then he's still keeping us in the game and he's making some great throws and different things like that. But he was also offering some throws. He's missing Knox for a potential walk-off touchdown, and he misses Shakir for a potential touchdown where he skips the ball on the ground. So to me, it's crazy because he does both. Like Saturday was like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde performance in its finest. Like he was right there to help us, and then he was right there to hurt us. So I think that's
and
one of the
Rob,
reasons why it's so frustrating.
it's the exaggeration on both ends. I mean, those turnovers and the missed throws are like the worst it could be.
The
And
backbreakers.
then he pulls out, some throws that are like that, the throw to Kincaid for the touchdown, like that was one of his best. Like then he's on the totally opposite end of this. It's not even like in the middle. It's
Nope.
all the way bad or all the way good. Like he's worse than anybody or he's better than anybody. Like his spectrum is incredible.
wild.
So
Yeah.
I agree. It's maddening. It's maddening.
Yeah, it's funny because when you look at it, like I said, and he, you were absolutely right. He stood up, and everybody in Bills Mafia saw his reaction after the game and how emotional he was, and then he heard how when Deion Dawkins heard that Josh putting it on him, and then he starts to get emotional because of that. You could tell that it was really hurting him, and then I think that he knew the sense that the responsibility that he carried for that for some of those mistakes that he made, and that kind of leads into it, DT, because. Saturday goes by, Saturday night, and we're all dejected. And then Sunday goes by, and you're just kind of trying to come to grips with this whole thing. And then Monday, the bombshell comes. And one of the things that, really struck me was the fact that when that press conference started, I mean, I was like literally waiting. I was, they said it was going to be 10 o'clock. I was tuned in, ready to go, getting ready to go to work. And, I was making sure, and I think they came on just a little bit early. And I wanted to hear every word. And as bad as it was, there were a couple things in there that I did take away from it that, that I think that we can glean into Terry Pegula a little bit. So Bills Mafia, unless you've been under a rock, you all know, because that's all that we've been talking about this entire week since Saturday. Monday, we fired Sean McDermott. And when they let us know that they fired him and why on the Monday press conference, DT, Pegula talks about walking in the locker room, and he talks about seeing the players dejected, and Josh, crying and different things like that. And then he just talked about how he felt like he just couldn't do it anymore. Now, here at Nickel City Crew, we've already been on this same wavelength since 13 seconds. We've, at least me, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I've been done with it since 13 seconds. And because of that, I wasn't shocked when I found out the news that they had fired him. But I wanted to hear the explanation why. And when I heard that it was because of the fact that it wasn't the game, I think that there's been this I can't stand when the national media picks up a story, but they don't really listen. The Stephen A. Smiths and all the talking heads. And I heard Nick Wright had to turn him off today when I was listening to his show. He fired him based on the Denver game. No, he did not. It was the cumulative. He literally said 13 seconds and then the catch. And you know what I mean? He talked about all the different cumulative effects, that all the scars that we've been feeling. And that was one thing that I did take away from it, was that I think that Terry Pegula finally hit that wall where he was like, holy shit, like we keep doing the same thing. And I can't do this anymore to my team. We need a different voice. That was something that did stick with me, and something that I could empathize with, because I've been feeling that for quite some time, DT, as you already know, me personally.
Yeah, that's the one thing I took out of that press conference that,
I took two things, that was one of them.
I can stand behind and understand. And that was my knee-jerk reaction on Saturday night, Rob, was exactly that. We need somebody in here that doesn't know what this current feeling feels like.
Right.
And then when he repeated that in the press conference, that was like, yep, that's exactly what I was saying. We need somebody in here that doesn't know what this pain is, because eventually that's the message. The message, Sean McDermott gets up at the, in the mini camp and addresses the team for the year. And this is our goals. These are our expectations. This is how we do things. This is Buffalo caliber, whatever it is. This is how we do it. And then boom, boom, boom. Now we're in this game. I stand before you and I'm motivating you and telling you how we're going to win this game. And then we lose in heartbreaking fashion. And then the next year, the same thing happens and we lose in heartbreaking fashion. And then this year he stands up in front of the team in Denver and then they lose in heartbreaking fashion. So when does it get to, where the team, yes, they respect him. I think we saw that obviously clearly as the players, upset that, the coach was gone. I think he was very well liked and a respected coach. And he was a great coach, probably one of the best, in the NFL, definitely one of the best in Buffalo Bills history. But when does that message just kind of go on deaf ears? And I'm not saying the team's like, yeah, whatever, coach, screw that. Like you said that last year, we got killed. Like, it's just naturally not there anymore. And you can only get up and do the trust the process and do that and then lose in this way. this is it now. This is what happens. This is what you do. And it's probably went a little too long as we, kind of concluded to, and I was definitely more of an optimist in the situation. And, but I stand behind this firing because of that exact reason. We need a different vibe check in this. We need a different face. We can't have the face of the franchise be known for gut-wrenching losses, right? So we need to, as your coach, and so I think that was the thing I took that I agree with. Now, when they did fire him originally, I went right back to the Stephon Diggs mindset of when that happened. Okay, this shit just went down. It doesn't make a ton of sense, but they must have a plan then, right? They were thinking about this. All right, if he doesn't do it this year, we're going to move on from him. Here's our plan to move forward. And that press conference said everything opposite of that. It was a knee-jerk reaction. He went in there and felt it and walked out of that locker room and made the decision. And so then I was
do you buy that? Do you buy that? That's what he do you I think that this had to be planned a little bit.
I think it was definitely planned a little bit for sure.
I think so.
Now the rumors are coming out about, the strife internally between him and Meade and whatever the case is with that and getting players and not and all that coming up. And, I get that too. I understand the strife of, the biggest pressure cooker, the most competitive industry, in the world. And you are continuously successful, but also continuously not getting there. And the pressure is building and building and building. Obviously, there's going to be a time where you hit a crossroads. And I think that was probably this year with the distancing between Beane and McDermott because of that. But,
absolutely.
I think it definitely was planned. Obviously if they're in the AFC Championship this week, he's not fired. If they lose the AFC Championship, I don't know. I can't firmly say, it would be, but if this was kind of the deal, obviously it would. But I definitely echo that of we need nothing. It's really not, it's business. It's not personal. It's straight business of we need a new vibe check. And, it's not always a successful move, but, just specifically here in Buffalo, you fire Ken Dorsey for not his fault, 12 men on the field in Denver on that Monday night. And they rattle off the next 6 wins and get the 2 seed. You fire Kevin Adams and we're one of the best teams in the NHL after that. And he didn't change anything on there. He didn't, move anything around in that.
Right.
But,
it's just getting that cloud off, getting that cloud
I'm hoping
away.
This is the same type of vibe, right? Losing Sean McDermott, we lose a lot. But is that dark cloud more important than what he brings as a head football coach, right? And I think that was the pros and cons that they had to deal with. And I sit here today and I stand behind the firing. I'm getting a little pissed off at Bill's Mafia.
It's too much.
Get you can get upset about, the press conference and the dysfunction and all this and a team that we lived our whole lives in this bullshit. And then it got tight for 10 years and we got it organized. We don't have even if it is beef, it's internal. That's why the Dig stuff was so eye-opening because that was the only drama we saw in 10 years. And now in the last 72 hours, it was all hell broke loose and it looks sloppy and you feel uneasy and those scars from the drought start to pop back up. And you're like, damn, are we going to go down this road again?
It's very true.
But yeah, all these petitions about bringing them back and all this, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, man, that's
sick of this now.
So lame. So lame.
Yeah, I'm sick of this. Lame. Y'all were on firing Sean McDermott depending on whatever mood it was after that Philly game that went to overtime in regular season. After anything else, you were all on to fire Sean McDermott. We've been on the show as critical as you can be of somebody we have for 3-4 years. So he's not a bad coach. I think he brings a lot to this team.
But he's not a martyr either. He's not a martyr.
Yeah.
Come on, let's get it together.
And it had to happen, and it did happen. So now we need to move forward. And I do disagree with the message of Pagula and Beane on how they move forward. All they had to do was stand up there on that microphone and say, we made the decision. We know we have the best quarterback in the world. We're going to work to get him weapons. We're going to try to get better. This new coach is going to come in. It's going to be a new age. We're going to the Super Bowl. Boom. Love it. See ya. See you in the spring. See you in minicamp. But instead, they kind of threw up all over the place. And
yeah. And before we get to some of the stuff, and we can quickly go over some of the stuff that we didn't like about it. It's in that same vein, DT. The second thing that I took from it that I liked about it was what I've talked about for years, and and you will back me up on this, was that it's okay to raise your expectations. And we talked about that to Bill's Mafia, Nickel City Crew on this show years ago. And when he made the comment and said, what is success? And he plainly said his success just going to the playoffs and being, in these kind of, situations where you're making the playoffs every year, 7 years in a row. He said, is that success? And people were talking about how he got cut off. I knew exactly where he was going with it. I didn't need him to finish it. And I loved it because of the fact that that's been my whole message for years, is that, you know what I mean? I wanted to know, does Terry, we had an whole episode like, is Terry okay with just being okay? That was the first time that I got confirmation from him, from up top, the guy that writes the check, that like, you know what, the okay is just not okay anymore. And like good enough is not good enough anymore. And that was the second thing that I took from it that I actually appreciated, because of the fact that I've been waiting to hear that. I've been waiting to be confirmed on that, because I dreaded the fact that I thought that my owner was just, complacent. We talked about turning the car around and what it was going to take. And is it going to take Josh Allen going to the front office and voicing his displeasure? What was it going to take for him to realize it? Now we know that it was going to take another gut-wrenching loss for him to finally get to that point. But I do think that it was something that was planned. Now, DT, so some of the stuff before we go to the head coaching stuff, we got to transition. We do have to pay. It's right due to it's just due to the fact that, I mean, it was that was debacle. And here's one of the things that I'm a little concerned about, is that I don't know if I trust Brandon Beane. Now we don't know all the inner workings and stuff like that, but that whole Keon Coleman shit was unnecessary. It was unprofessional. I thought that, Keon's catching strays, for nothing. He didn't do anything in respects to, he wasn't there to defend himself. I thought that was completely Bush League, and I didn't like the tone that it set, because what Pagula thought he was doing was trying to save his GM, but the GM he's adverse to talking to the media. He knows how to communicate to the media. And
obviously you're not, Terry.
Exactly. So shut the fuck up and let this guy do his job. But don't try to step in and cut him off and say, well, this wasn't his pick and blame it. I don't want you to play the blame game. And I didn't like it. As soon as I heard that, I was on Twitter like, oh, here comes the blame game, because I thought that there's some dissension in the ranks. And I understand that. We talked about it a little bit, that McDermott was dropping like breadcrumbs, like, talking a little shit here. And do you think you have a Super Bowl caliber roster? Beane says yes. McDermott says, I love my guys. Well, you're not really answering the fucking question. Then, he's dropping stuff. As soon as we're getting ready for the matchup with Jacksonville, he wants to praise and sing the praises of, of Jacoby Myers. Right at the trade deadline, he's talking about, what do you want? He's like, that's not my thing. Like that's Beane. You know what I mean? Like I tell him what I need, but that's him. You could tell that McDermott was frustrated by the roster, and we are as well. Like I'm not mad at him about that, because we were frustrated with the roster. The roster's not good enough. I didn't like that they were trying to kind of dry snitch on him and throw him under the bus. I didn't really appreciate that. I didn't need that from them on that press conference.
Yeah, it was very tone deaf, right? Like it was a sensitive subject, and I stand behind the firing, but I also respect Sean McDermott a hell of a lot, and I don't think he doesn't deserve to get drugged by any means. This is, again, strictly business, like nothing else but business here, and they made it personal, right? Like it was business, and they made it personal, and that's not the way to do things in this professional workforce, no matter what the business is, and I agree. I felt like they needed to prove that it was one side or the other. And so that also tells me that it was a little hot in there, right? It was a little hot in the room.
Yes.
They wouldn't have come out and tried to defend themselves so aggressively if everything was kind of cool with Sean, and they had some disagreements and then they made this decision to move on. I don't think it was cool, right? Because they came out ready to go, ready to fight, for themselves on this. We weren't happy with Sean, and then we let him go, and now everyone's pissed, and now we're gonna tell you why it wasn't, we did pick the right guy to let go. So you felt they played some cards that the public shouldn't see, and that's sloppy, and this organization hasn't been sloppy in a long time. So seeing that is definitely concerning. Seeing that they don't have a grasp on the volume, they were surprised that press conference was kind of hot. They were surprised.
Yes.
They felt like they were just going to sit up there and that they didn't just lose for the 8th time in a row in heartbreaking fashion and then fire the coach that did all this for the last 8 years. And they just another season ending press conference. They came in there not prepared whatsoever. Yeah. And that, concerns me to the fact of they don't have the finger on the pulse. So they don't, when everyone is bitching, do they know we need a receiver then? Do they know, do they know these things? things. Like, and that's the concerning part where I come from. But yeah, definitely not okay to roll Sean like that. Didn't deserve it at all. Again, moved on, strictly business, and they made it personal, which shows me that they're sloppy. They're playing too many cards that we shouldn't see, and they had to make it a point to defend themselves. And that's just that. It's a making of showing me that's not stable, and I don't want to keep going in the future with people that aren't stable, right? So it's concerning.
Yeah, no, it is a little bit, and Bean, wanted to kind of sit there and thump his chest and talk about, when they insinuated that he was kind of, trying to ride the coattails and be a little bit slick. And he wants, oh, my wife's crying. And when she hear, and like, I don't give a fuck about any of that shit. Like, I don't care about any of that. Like, this is professional sports. Then tell her not to come to the facility then if she's going to be crying. You know what I mean? Keep her at home.
Don't get on Facebook. Like, shut the fuck up. Yeah.
I didn't like that. A lot of people thought that he's being a little bit disingenuous with some of the things that have been going on. So listen, you're absolutely right. It is business. And it's a situation where I feel like, it needed to happen. It had to happen. It was time. It was overdue in my book. So it is what it is. Now, as we transition tonight's episode, listen, all season long, we really appreciate Queen City Vintage. We really do. Our buddies over there, Nick and Kai, like they have been hooking us up with the giveaways every season. They're making sure that they're hooking us up and giving us some good swag to give out. And it was really cool this year, to be honest, just personally for me, to see those guys live and in person down here in Charlotte. You guys came to my city that I live in now. And I mean, Buffalo's always my home, but I live in Charlotte, and they showed the love. We had the great pop-up event, DT, that you were here a part of as well. So just shout out to Queen City Vintage. Check them out, Queen City Vintage. Listen, they've got a great storefront on Elmwood across from 40 Thieves. Check them out. They still got all the Buffalo Bills and Buffalo Sabres. Now the Sabres gear is in vogue again. They got the goat head stuff, all that shit that you need. They've got it for you. Please check them out because they're going to hook you up, and they really have hooked up Nickel City Crew all season long. So we really appreciate them. DT, as we transition, so we turn the page, and you are absolutely right about, like, I saw like 50,000 people sign something, and I'm like, are you guys fucking with me? Like, I'm on Twitter, I'm like, I can't tell if I'm being punked right now. I'm like, what? Like, have some respect, have some self-respect. Like, what do you think? You think you're going to sign a petition, and then Terry Pagula is going to say, oh man, you know what? I may have made a mistake. I'm going to go ahead and re-sign, Sean McDermott. Like, get the fuck out. Like, he's not doing that, and you shouldn't even want to be in that court. Like, give him his flowers. That's fine if you want to give him his flowers. I've given him his flowers enough when he deserved them in his moments. I said, I'll stand on it. This was his best year coaching-wise based on what he was given and the injuries that he had to endure. But in the end, it still didn't get done. So 9 years is a long time. And 9 cracks at the kicks at the can, that's a long time. So Bills Mafia, can we quit with this shit with the whole I understand that you guys feel that he was disrespected, and the presser came out and they said admirable job, which he doesn't really do it justice anyway, and then they spelled admiral. I get it. It made us look like dummies, but just like let it go. Like, he's gone. He's going to find another job whenever he's ready for another one. Like, it's okay. He's a big boy. He's a grown up. He's getting paid millions of dollars. It's okay. That kind of left a little bad of a taste in my mouth, DT, because now I've got half of Bills Mafia on Twitter, and I know that you've seen it on your spaces as well, where they're talking, McDermott didn't deserve this and this and that and this. And I'm just like, yo, guys, 9 chances, like 9 chances. Like, what else do I have to say? This is pro sports. It's getting a little bit out of hand for me.
Result driven as it gets, man. You win or you die. You win or you die. Like, and that's all it is. That's all it is. You win or you die. It was his time to die, and I agree. Like, and it's like if we didn't have 5 turnovers and it was just another like one of those playoff games where we just couldn't get off the field on third down, which we couldn't. By the way, on that last drive, 2 3rd and 10s converted. We preached discipline and everything, and we turned the ball over 5 times. We get dumbass penalties. Larry Ojinobi jumping off sides on a fumble recovery, like a bunch of shit that is uncharacteristic of what we were built and preached on. And we can't get off the field on third down, and on the final run in regulation when they scored the touchdown and in overtime, obviously. So if it wasn't 5 turnovers and we lost again, then everyone's like, oh, Sean McDermott needs to, like, it was so, each day was like different. If they won, we love Sean McDermott. If they lose, we need to fire him. There was no, so like, don't come at me like you're so sad for this dude because he got fired from a National Football League team that can't do it. Like it wasn't doing his job to completion, and we gave him this long to do it, and he didn't do it, so we fired him. Like that's it. And yeah, I agree. Bills Mafia, that side of Bills Mafia is pissing me off. If you're on Nickel City Crew and you're a part of that, I'm calling you out. That's bullshit. Quit with this. We got to start focusing on the future.
As we do focus on the future and we start to transition, it's funny because when they talked about it today, made me chuckle because they said, well, are you looking for offense, defense, or whatever the case may be? And Bean says it's going to be an exhaustive approach, and they don't have any preferences. They don't have a candidate list or anything like that ahead of time. And then to get the news today about Phillip Rivers was just funny. So to run it down for Bills Mafia, if you don't know, I know sometimes people are just unplugged on the actual minutia of it, but we have interviewed a bunch of guys already. And Joe Brady was interviewed 2 days ago on Wednesday. The same thing for Brian Dable yesterday. Okay. Lou Anarumo, the Indianapolis Colts defensive coordinator, who was the longtime Cincinnati Bengals defensive coordinator, was interviewed yesterday as well. They've got scheduled interviews coming up for Mike McDaniel, which I actually like. I like him. I know he's quirky and stuff like that, but you know what I mean? I do like him. So he's coming up tomorrow. They're actually going down, they said, to Florida to see him. Yeah. Phillip Rivers tomorrow as well. And then you've got Anthony Lynn, the former Bills interim coach. That was after Rex was fired. So he's going to get a chance on, I think it's Sunday. I think he gets an opportunity. No, that's tomorrow. And then Anthony Weaver, the Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator as well. Then they're going to finish it up on Sunday with Grant Udinski, who is a new name. He's 30 years old. One of these young whippersnappers. He's the Jacksonville Jaguars OC. DT, I mean, they said he's like 4 months older than Josh. I'm like, I don't know if that's going to work. So, DT, who is your early clubhouse favorite? Do you have one? I know that a lot of people have talked about Clint Kubiak. We've got to wait now for the Super Bowl to be over, or see what happens this weekend if you want an opportunity to interview him. Is there a leader in the clubhouse for you? Anybody that you're leaning towards, anything like that? Because I think you already know what I'm going to say, but I was interested to know what you thought.
Yeah, I've been through it a little bit this week. I originally, went with the obvious, like, all right, young offensive, right? Young offensive. That's where I want to go. And then looking into it, it's like, well, I get the one piece, that if we didn't go that route, I argue with, you bring somebody in that isn't, you just bring a new coordinator in and they're good. In 2 years, they're going to get a head coach job. If they come in and they're good and you're your head coach, they're staying, so I get that piece of it, right? But I was also thinking, okay, well then some of these guys might not get head coaching looks that I want as our OC then, when Joe Brady leaves, whatever. If Dable's not getting any head coaching looks anywhere, right? So if he's not going to be a head coach, come in as our OC and then get one of these dudes that, like, I thought I needed somebody, like, because I'm not hurt from Sean McDermott, but he did have respect to the locker room, like the team, so you need like somebody that, like, has that type of like vibe to him. And that Brian Flores kept popping into my head from Minnesota, like come in, have command of the team, and then we can bring somebody fun like a Dable or McDaniel and his OC. Well, as the week kind of rolls, that changes a little bit. I think we definitely probably got to go offensive minded. I'm cool. Who I think they're gonna hire is Dable. I think Terry Pagula is predictable. Terry Pagula is, he's done this. He's done this a 1,000 times, right? Like not 1,000 times, but he brings back Lindy Ruff. He brings Kevin Adams in because he knew him. We're bringing in, we're bringing Gabe Davis and Jordan Poyer, back. Like it's what one Buffalo does. Like Dable from Buffalo.
That's where you're coming with it.
So I think they are going to hire Dable. I could see it. I really don't put a lot into his stock, like not being successful in New York. He was coach of the year 1, and quarterbacking tough. I get it. He lost his shit a few times on the side. Okay. But like, he didn't have Josh Allen, right? None of these dudes have ever had Josh Allen. So like, I'm not really looking at their past and like critiquing them too much on it. It's like, who can lead this team? I think Daboll definitely could. He has the relationships. He has that fire. He will demand respect. I think he can definitely do it.
Yes.
But you know, I also get like why he wasn't getting head coaching interviews, because what he did, it kind of showed he wasn't ready to be the head coach. But from an organization that
with
was
his temper.
burning,
Okay.
from an organization that was burning in the biggest media market in the world, right? So like, it's tough. Mike McDaniel, I like his mind. I would love to see the layups he could create for Josh. And we bitched for years that we don't get any layups. And now he would come in and you guarantee we're in layup lines a couple games a year. But can he overtake the entire team, right? And that was the problem in Miami. When things started not to go well, he wasn't a leader of men, it seemed like, right? So he also had Tua. And
he also salvaged the season. Like it looked like he was on teetering before blowing up, and he got him to come back in. So, you know, for whatever that's worth.
So I'm cool with Mike McDaniel's mind. I could get down with. I think they're going to go Daboll. I also I like the keeping it familiar, the Davis Webb stuff. But
I'm nervous. That makes me nervous.
Just
he's
so
Josh's
raw, right?
Little bestie, right? Well, because he's Josh's bestie. I don't think Josh needs a buddy right now. I think he needs
people like Sean Payton have expressed very high regards to him, and Sean Payton, I have a lot of respect for in this league.
He's an asshole, but he's a great coach.
Yeah, but he knows how to win and and develop quarterbacks, and and Davis Webb coming. Not that Josh Allen needs developing, but
we got to get some stuff. We got to get some of these bad habits out of him, though, for sure.
Yes,
it's time.
And so, somebody like Davis Webb, familiar. Bill's like going familiar. He's young. He could be the future, and the next Sean McVay-esque, right? Like the next type of just that young guy that makes it happen.
Well, that's what they say about this boy Udinsky, and then they also say that about Kubiak. Well, Kubiak's more of he calms everything down.
But I would, if we're going that route, I'd rather have somebody like Davis Webb who is familiar, right? Like if we are going young and inexperienced, I want somebody who knows Josh, right? So I got down. I mean, I'm cool with Philip Rivers too. Fuck.
Why?
He knows ball. Of course, but he knows ball more than anybody. Like he knows, he played in the league for 20 years. Like he'll be fine. He knows how to stand in front and lead a team.
No, that's for sure.
I think that's very unlikely. I think most likely is Daboll. I'm cool with the McDaniel thing. If we all those out, I like Davis Webb. So that's where I stand.
All right. Okay. I can respect your takes for sure. I can respect your takes. I think it's funny that we both have, kind of alluded to the fact we're talking around it. Do not Terry Pagula bring in a defensive coordinator. Do not do that. Okay. To this fan base. I heard you say something about Brian Flores. It would all depend, I think, on who the OC was. You would have to have a rock star.
Well, that was strictly with. That was strictly with a McDaniel or a Daboll as the OC. Yes.
Right. Yeah. And I know that I think that Daboll's got some job opportunities as well. We know that Mike McDaniel already signed up to be the Chargers OC if he doesn't get a head coaching job. So I think it's going to be tough for one of the DCs to come in and bring one of those rock star OCs with him. Having said that, so we're both on the offensive side of the football, preferably. I mean, you come on, man. I'm easy to read. You already know. When was Josh Allen at his most lethal? He was at his most lethal 13 seconds with Brian Daboll. I think that Brian Daboll, if they get, Bean supplies the groceries the right way and gives him what he needs, I think he can recreate that offense. Obviously the league has changed a little bit, but we've got a great offensive line. We're still going to be able to run the ball. We just don't have to be as run heavy as Joe Brady was. We don't have to rely on it to be our bread and butter the way that Joe Brady did. I think that Brian Daboll brings that fire. I think that familiarity that you just talked about with Josh, somebody that's not afraid to hold him accountable. One of the things I'm worried about with the Davis Webb or maybe this Udinsky guy, because he's so young, is that, are you going to be afraid to get in Josh's face? That doesn't necessarily mean yelling on the sideline. That can be in film room, holding him accountable, that kind of thing. The stuff that behind the scenes that we don't see. I want somebody that's going to keep Josh's foot on the fire, because I think that he is capable of cleaning up these mistakes, some of them, because you saw him win the MVP last year based on the fact that he cleaned up the turnovers and stuff like that. So sometimes I feel like the roster forces him to try to do too much, where he feels like he has to carry everything, and that's where some of the mistakes come. I think if you can provide him with some of the more weapons and different things like that, and it's funny that you said earlier in the episode, does Bean even know that we need receivers? Because that press conference, it was like pulling teeth just to get him to fucking admit that the receivers were garbage. Then at the very end, he's like, well, maybe I did mess up with the receiver room. Like, dude, man, you are so arrogant sometimes that he gets me a little bit nervous because he does not like to admit that he was wrong. If you surround Josh with talent, I think that Dable would be a great choice. I really do. Yeah,
I agree. And to your point about not being able to get in Josh's face, some of these young whippersnappers, as you called it earlier in the show, it might be reversal of that. They might be overcompensating, right? And that's not good either. Of like, all right, I'm young, I'm disrespected, so now I'm gonna go way over the top and be in Josh's face like way too much, like just to like show that I'm not a bitch, right? To show that I'm ready to be here and I'm not going to back down. So like there's a reverse end of that too, Rob, where are they afraid to do it, or they think they have to do it extra now to prove themselves, right? And that's not good either. I don't want somebody double thinking on how they should think just to like get themselves acknowledged. I want somebody going in there and coaching our football team, right? So I definitely see what you're saying, but I also see the reverse effect of it, of them overcompensating because everyone's saying they are young, they won't get in Josh's face, and then every game they're just cussing Josh out, and it's like, all right, dude, like chill out, right? So it definitely is a catch-22 there. I mean, Dable has really, if you build the perfect candidate, he fits a lot of those systems, right?
He does.
He's from Buffalo. He has the community. He
Josh wants the job.
When he was, he does have the head coaching experience. He was the coach of the year. He was there is like all the questions you have from these younger guys. Brian Dable answered those questions with his resume.
Yeah, I think so. It's funny because I'm predictable. I mean, I always talk about 13 seconds and how lethal that offense was. Everybody on Twitter knows that I'm ready to get in any argument about when was Josh. I always remember, when was Josh at his most lethal? When was he the best? When was he at the height of his pimping? And to me, it was 13 seconds. It was that year when he had all of those different plethora of receivers. No, they weren't all world beaters, but you had an all pro in Steph, and then you had just great complementary pieces all throughout the room. This wide receiver room doesn't even resemble anything close to that, and I'm just wondering if the GM really understands that. So we'll see. Couple other guys on there, like you had already talked about. None of them really scare me. I only thing I'm scared of is that if we wait for Clint Kubiak, if they really think that this guy's ready to go, he's lined up, he's the next big thing in respects to what this offense needs. You could either get left at the altar, or or by the time he comes around, you're going to be slim pickings for some of his stats.
I agree.
Like I just don't know if we can wait that long.
And I also,
it looks like they're going to the Super Bowl.
And I argue that point as well of why are we waiting? Like, we don't need the perfect guy necessarily, because we do have 1-7, right? This dude's going to win you 8-9 games really no matter what. So need, we don't need the perfect guy. Is Clint Kubiak have the resume as the perfect guy? Not in my eyes, right? So why are we waiting for this guy? It's any OC, and we should have done this last year. We could have got Ben Johnson or Liam Cohen. They weren't shit until they were, so it don't we don't know who's going to break out and be the next Sean McVay and the next, we don't know this until we go out and roll it. But I like the chances of one of these young whippersnappers, the word of the show tonight, of coming in and being with Josh Allen, and that's the best way to kind of ease into a new role, is be with the best player in the world. So I agree. I don't think we should wait. If we kind of have a good feeling of where we're at this weekend, pull the trigger, get it done. The team needs it. The fan base needs it. They need a new face and a positive press conference to kind of move forward and move on.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be very, very interesting because it's funny. I get some of this tinge on Twitter and stuff like that, DT, and when I'm seeing social media, and after the press conference for sure, we're getting ready to go back, like you said earlier in the show, back to the drought, and we're dysfunctional and stuff like that. I'm like, guys, it doesn't have to be bad. This does not have to be like everybody. I feel like there's a portion of Bills Mafia, DT, that operates in fear, and you already know that's not my style. I'm not operating in fear. Just because you make a change does not mean that the change has to go bad. It does not mean that you are doomed for failure because you make a change. So I think that a lot of Bills Mafia, and I think that that's part of this whole petition garbage, is that they just kind of got comfortable in their own little cocoon. Like, okay, well, we go to the playoffs, and we're not embarrassed, and our coach doesn't eat dog biscuits like Rex Ryan, and we're not in the drought anymore. Let's just kind of let it just be. And to me, I think that it's okay to raise those expectations. So I don't think that this is doom and gloom. I think that we've got 1-7. We've got a great opportunity to find a way to get a new coach and see what he's got and what he can bring to the table. I don't think that there's any type of doom and gloom that needs to be associated with this coach search or with the future of the Buffalo Bills, any of that type of stuff. I'm interested. I love the comments tonight. I'm seeing you guys all in there. Appreciate everybody giving the love and the feedback, because we are entering the second half of Josh Allen's career. We are entering that second phase. And I've warned, tons of people that I've interacted with on Twitter and stuff like that, is that don't expect Josh Allen, Bills Mafia, to play, forever. He is not going to be like a Tom Brady type that's playing. I mean, Haley, Mrs. Allen, she is not going to allow him to just play forever. That's just not, I just don't think that that's going to happen. So, you know what I mean? We might get another good 4 or 5, maybe 6 years of Josh Allen. He's going to be age 30 coming up. I warn and I caution everybody to just don't take this for granted, and embrace this. This is the second half of his career, and I think that there could be good things ahead. I definitely think that he's still capable of taking us to the promised land. And I'm just not fearful. I really am not. I'm not fearful of this next stage, DT. I was just telling Nickel City Crew, and Bills Mafia, I'm not fearful of this next stage. I really am not. You got me? You got me, baby boy? DT having some technical difficulties, but that's where I stand on it, Bills Mafia. As we try to get DT back, that's where I stand on it. I don't think that we need to be doom and gloom. I don't think that we need to assume that everything is going to not work out. And that's all I was saying, DT, was just reminding everybody that Josh is not going to play forever. We're in the second half of his career, and I don't think that this is a situation where I don't think we need to think that this is going to just go bad just because we don't know. Just because it's unknown doesn't mean it's going to go bad.
I agree. And, we have had almost 10 years of pretty strong success. We cannot, lose all that and throw it away because we had a bad 72 hours, right? Like, yeah, losing sucks. 31 NFL teams do it every year. And it seems to be us that it's gut-wrenching every time. But then we go into, the mishaps of the presser and fire McDermott, everything. But the future is still bright with 1-7 at the helm, right? And we need to know that as Bills Mafia. I mean, Brandon Beane definitely knows he's got to make a move. Like, it can't be any louder. As much as he wants to be arrogant and defend it, it's got to be happening this time. So I agree. We need to chill out a little bit because we are 9 months away from kicking off. In the new stadium. And there's a lot in between that, we can't be this fired up that long, right? So we need to chill out, understand we can be upset, but no, 1-7's at the helm, and we still have a chance, and we're going to get better. And maybe this coach is the John Gruden that gets us over the hump, 0-1 Buck style.
Yeah, man. Maybe so, man. As we begin to transition and wrap up tonight, I think that I just look at the horizon as it's open, and I think that it's just open, and there's vast possibilities. I've told everybody I will lose my shit if they bring in a defensive coordinator. I'm not going to like it. I know Lou Anarumo is respected and stuff like that, but he better be bringing a star-studded offensive staff with him if they pick him. But if it's an offensive coach, it's almost DT any offensive coach. I'm going to be happy just because it's kind of like that pendulum swinging,
I agree.
We got the defensive guy, he's all buttoned up. They'll bring in, it doesn't even matter if they bring in Dable. He's totally opposite of McDermott, and all these offensive guys are obviously going to be opposite the ball of McDermott. So I'm kind of just I'm down for whatever, man. I'm down for whatever. I'm ready.
If you Josh Allen, like you said, if 3 to 5, whatever, however many more years he's got, and we keep Sean McDermott, we keep Sean McDermott, and this goes on, 4 more years. Damn, Josh is done. We kept Sean McDermott. We never did it. No, so this is Pagula saying, I got to try something different. We only have Josh for this long. I got to try something different. So to try something different, we need to commit to something different. We can't go back to the same old, not saying we'd hire Mike Tomlin, but that type of guy, defensive coordinator, same dude. We have to go opposite of everything. And I'm not saying get away from, the culture and all that stuff. That still has to be a staple, but maybe take a chance on a guy with some character issue. Maybe take a chance on, sorry, let me get this light back on. Maybe take a chance on a guy with some character issue. Maybe take a chance on something a little different. So that's where I stand. It really doesn't matter bringing somebody offensive. We did all this to change, because if we kept it the same.
Yeah. You're breaking up a little bit. Like I just feel like, oh man, I feel like we're in a situation where if you operate in fear, it will cripple you. I got called dumb like 5 times the other night by some dude on Twitter, some old guy on Twitter, and I think he's a former football player or something like that. And he's calling me dumb because, I was like, I'm ready for, a new coach and this and that. And he's just like, what coach are you going to get? And like, he's like trying to argue with me. He's like, tell me what coach you're going to get. And I'm like, homeboy, I don't have a name for you. Like the name, that doesn't even matter to me. Like, because any name I give you, you're going to come back at me and say that he's not right, or that's the wrong name. Like, listen, your point is that McDermott shouldn't have gone. I got it. I heard you. But like, I'll just stick to that. Any Bills Mafia member that signed that petition, any Bills Mafia member like that one dude on Twitter that I was arguing with the other night, listen, if you think that Sean McDermott needed to stay, you are entitled to your own opinion. I will respectfully tell you, and we are Bills Mafia brothers and sisters. I'm going to tell you that you're misguided. And that's from the bottom of my Bills heart. I love you like a brother. I love you like a Bills sister. You are misguided if you think that he just deserved to be Josh Allen's quarterback for the duration or of his career or until he wanted to retire. That is not how professional sports work. The 2 things I liked about that press conference as we wrap up tonight, and the one thing that I heard at the very end from Pagula, and that was all that saved it for me because it was a shit show, was that he said, what is success? And he realizes, at least now, finally, he gets it, if he didn't get it before, because he definitely wasn't acting on it, was that you just can't keep doing the same thing and then saying successful is not getting the goal. If the goal is to get the goal and you don't get the goal, well, then like DT said earlier, then it's like it's do or die. Like, did you do it or did you not do it? He didn't do it. He was great. He definitely changed the culture. He definitely made us respectable and brought us back to where we needed to be in respects to the eyes of our peers in the league. But it wasn't just we literally had an episode, DT, that was that job for life. Like we've been over this shit, DT. We really have. So I encourage Bills Mafia to just embrace this next step. Please get last word.
Yeah, I agree. And, the fact of when he first started the conference with the playoff seeding numbers, right? I thought
I was so confused, man. I knew that he was going with seeds. I thought he was going to say we never got the 1 seed. And
that's what I said. That's what I thought. He was going to get, hey, we got this, and this. We never got the 1. We did this, and this. We never made it to the Super Bowl.
No, instead he slurped on Brandon, which was garbage, man. I just don't. And that's like, they just make me nervous.
And that's basically saying like the team could have won the Super Bowl, so the roster was good enough.
No, get out of here.
The coach just didn't get us there. And that's
get out of here.
Okay,
who told you that, Brandon?
But yes,
who told you that, Brandon?
Success. He knows the Super Bowl needs to happen, and continuing down the same road, he did probably a couple years more than he should have. And I'll give you some credit, Rob, and everyone that gave us hate a couple years ago when the whole Stephon Diggs stuff came out. He was saying the same shit. Like this was what it was about.
I purposely didn't bring up his name tonight.
We can't keep doing this. We can't keep running it back. And then he was, and that shipped him out of town. Now the whole organization is finally caught up and saying this. I told you this during the week, Rob. I think they're just on a 2-year delay. I think, people, Stephon Diggs and people were after 13 seconds were like, McDermott needs to be gone. And then a couple years later, he does it. Kevin Adams should have been gone the day he walked in the Sabres team. 2 years later, 3 years later, he does it. Like, so I think he's just delayed on the focus and the mindset of, the fan base and where things need to go. I think he's just on a 2-year delay.
DT, you're a jerk, man, because we're getting ready to sign off, and you just did that. You know how hard I worked to not bring his name up tonight because everybody wants to you always want to talk about 13 seconds. You need to get over it. You always want to talk about Diggs. Like, no, I'm not always trying to talk about Diggs, but golly, you just took the words out of my mouth, and I refused to even say tonight. And that's why this is my Bill's brother from another mother. He just feels me. We always just vibing. I swear I thought this thing immediately when it happened and all tonight. I was like, I'm not going to bring up Steph. I'm not going to bring up 14. I'm not going to bring up 14. They got mad at him because he wanted better, not because of cryptic tweets, not because of this and that. He came back to mini camp. We did an episode, the miseducation of Stephon Diggs. He came back to mini camp and wanted to sit down and talk to McDermott, wanted to sit down and talk to 17 or the OC and see, like, what are we getting ready to change? Because what did he say when he said, I feel like we are rolling a ball, a stone up the hill, and then it just keeps falling back down. He got sick of it, and we were all sick of it. And they ran him out of town and called him a diva and a malcontent and all this other stuff, and that he wanted to leave.
And now the owner
was not okay being okay anymore, and now the owner finally gets it. So thank you for saying that, because I purposely didn't bring up 14, but he's been saying this shit. I've been saying this shit since 13 seconds.
Who's going to be most likely in a Super Bowl this year, just so everyone knows. So,
Oh, God. Oh, I don't even want to talk about this game. What were your picks for the Super Bowl? We'll close up on that. With Nickel City Crew, before we close, we will be back. We are not going to leave. This was supposed to be the season 5 finale. Then Sean McDermott got fired. So DT and I will be back. We are going to hit you off. We've got a great guest coming up next week. Hopefully by next week, we've got our coach picked out. And I've got a great guest that's lined up that knows his shit. One of my Twitter buddies, and he'll help us break down whoever we decide to hire and what that particular man brings to the table for the Buffalo Bills. DT, are you even going to watch Sunday? I mean, I feel like as a football fan, I probably am going to hate watch it, but I don't know if I'm going to just sit there and watch every play on Sunday for the AFC game. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see how the weekend goes. It's it doesn't help.
It's very hard.
Go outside because it's 2 degrees out, so I might be forced to. I already watched that Ben Affleck, Matt Damon movie on Netflix, so I don't know what I'm going to do.
That was a great movie. Yeah.
But my picks, the gambling side me wants to go Broncos when the whole world says it's easy money Patriots. That usually means they're going to be wrong, and the Broncos might give them a weird run for their money. On the other side of things, let's go with the Rams strictly because I look at these 4 teams left. Who's getting a Lombardi before Josh Allen? It's Sam Darnold. Hell no. It's Drake May. Hell no. Or it's a backup. Hell no. So Matt Stafford's the only worthy person to get a Lombardi because he already has one and he is good and I like the Bay and all that. So I'm going Rams and fuck the Patriots, Broncos.
Wow. Yeah, if I was placing money on it, I don't know if I would be able to place money on the Broncos because of Stidham. I think that may be just a hill a little bit too steep to climb. But yeah, the NFC is a better conference. If the Bills made the Super Bowl, I would be nervous as hell. What did I always say? Let's just get to the show and then I'll let the chips fall from there. So I don't know what would happen if the Bills would have gotten and fulfilled their destiny and gotten to the Super Bowl this year. But I know that the NFC is much stronger than the AFC. So I expect either one, the Rams or the Seahawks, to win the Super Bowl this year, regardless of if they play the Patriots or not. Obviously, if they play the Patriots, it just adds another layer that we've got a second-year quarterback, first-year head coach, not ever, but his first year on the job here in New England, and they've already surpassed something that we couldn't even do, and that shit stings. So if that doesn't make you mad, Bill's Mafia, for the portion that wanted McDermott, then hopefully that'll sink in if that happens. If you're seeing the Patriots on your TV for Super Bowl Sunday, hopefully okay, maybe it was time. You know what I mean? Because they weren't supposed to come this fast.
Longevity.
No, they weren't supposed to. No, hell no. They weren't supposed to come this fast, and they took everything from us. They took the division from us, and unfortunately, they're in a position that we should be in this weekend. But it is what it is. DT, I really appreciate you, man. Shout out to Olivia Nagel, our creative director, all season long. We really appreciate her hard work for helping us out. Again, we already given a shout out to Queen City Vintage. Shout out to Taste of Buffalo Pizzeria. Shout out to Al's Bar and Grill. We really appreciate you guys. Didn't get a chance to get in there. Just life is hectic. I've got 4 babies. It's hard, so I didn't get a chance to get in there. But we are gonna work on some remotes for next year. But listen, stick with us. We are gonna be with you guys every Friday until we pick a coach. Hopefully next week we'll come back and we'll be able to wrap up season 5. I've had a blast, DT. I don't know about you, but I've had a blast this year. I think that it's been one of our best seasons, to be honest. And despite the shit show and how everything ended on Saturday, I'm honored. I love you, man. The Charlotte trip was just what the doctor ordered. We played our cards wrong with the stadium, but this year. But I'm glad that you got a chance to be there for the finale and stuff like that. And I will see you next year for the home opener. I won't miss that for anything in the world.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's been a great season, Rob. It's, we got traction now. We got listeners. This is fun, man. This is fun, and I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else. I love you, man. It's been good. Another heartbreaking year, but knowing that I got people like you, that it's all good. It's always good. And Charlotte this year was awesome, and yeah. So another year down, we're getting better. Our listeners were fine tuning things. We're gonna come back with next season with even better stuff. We're not done yet. We'll keep going for a while, but we're gonna come back with better stuff. We're gonna keep getting better, and Nickel City, baby, we'd love it.
Yeah, man, I love it, man. I really appreciate you. I love it. So listen, enjoy your night, DT out there. Nickel City crew, pick your head up, pick your chin up. We still got 17. Like, you still have the baddest man on the planet. Everybody has a bad day. Saturday was a bad day. He picked a bad day to have one. But I think he's going to learn from it. He's going to grow from it. And I wouldn't trade him for anybody. Not Pat, not any of those, not 15, not none of those quarterbacks. Lamar's bum ass don't even want to come to practice. I mean, I wouldn't want 17. I wouldn't want anybody over him. So I understand that 15 has had some more team success, but there's a lot of other factors that come into that, why he's had more accolades. I'll take Josh Allen any day of the week, and hopefully we can find a way to surround him. Out there, Nickel City crew, Bills Mafia, listen, spread love, not hate. These were my Bills thoughts said out loud. Hit him with a Go Bills, DT. It's time for us to go get an old ball coach. It's time for us to go get an old ball coach.
Adam from South Buffalo. Go Bills.
I love it. Go Bills. Oh, I love it.